So yeah, I'm here joined by Lexi Rook. How are you doing today, Lexi?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Thank you for asking. So yeah, take me back to your last fight, your first pro fight, last August. How do you feel looking back at that performance?
Um, Mixed emotions. It feels like it was a lifetime ago now. It was good. I'm happy with how it went. Obviously, I didn't get the win, but it was a tough one for my debut. So I'm glad I'm glad I took it. I'm glad I tested myself against that level of competition. Yeah, I took a lot away from it. I learned a lot about myself in that week as well, like going abroad and solo and just getting it done. And obviously, there's a lot of things to factor in when you're transitioning from amateur to pro. So it was a it was a mad one, to be honest, but
Yeah,
it was good. The experience was amazing. The show was really really good. Obviously, my opponent was decent. We won fight of the night, so we had a good scrap.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, to be honest, I'm just looking forward to getting back out there because obviously August was a long time ago now. So I'm excited for getting back in.
Yeah, and you've touched on it there a little bit. I wanted to ask kind of how much did you take from that experience, and how much did you learn going forward, despite the loss? Because obviously, a lot of times you learn quite a lot from a loss, and I just wanted to kind of know what you took from that and what you might change going forward.
Yeah, I think it was unfortunate that I took the knockdown that I took in the first round because I do believe if I hadn't have taken that shot, I would have been able to perform a lot better, a lot sooner in the rounds because I feel like I only really showed what I'm capable of in round three, and by that point, obviously in the judges' eyes, it was a bit too late. So it's definitely I definitely learned that I need to be first and be more. I need to switch on from the get go because I often one of my greatest assets is the fact that I do have a very good gas tank. So
Mm.
often I rely on that, knowing that I can go 3 rounds, 5 rounds if I need to, and I know I tend to grow into the fights, which is great. But obviously at the same time, I need to start that pace from the get go rather than just growing into it as much. So that was one big thing I got from that. Yeah, that that was mainly it really because I wasn't disappointed with how I got on. I was happy with the rest of the performance despite the knockdown. Um, I think now I've come away from that and been throwing myself a lot more into wrestling. Obviously, being at Renegade, like we wrestle a lot,
Yeah,
um, which is a big out of the comfort zone area for me. So I think like looking back on that fight now, I'm like, oh, I would have hit a takedown there, or I would have utilized that clinch to do this, or so I feel like my knowledge and my skill set has leveled up since that fight because it got to a point where I was like, all my fights are just stand up, and if they go to the ground, it's I do have good grappling, I do have good wrestling, so I want to be able to utilize that more. But I think a lot of it was more confidence rather than lack of like skill set. I think it was more me trusting myself to actually go ahead and do um you know devil in the other
yeah, of course.
disciplines. So
Yeah.
yeah, so coming away from that, I wanted to just expand my knowledge and skill set and um just become more of an all-rounded fighter, really a well-rounded fighter, because each discipline I do train, and I want to be able to show that now in my fights.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no better place to do that than Renegade in Birmingham. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've moved to Birmingham full time recently, haven't you?
Yeah, literally moved about a
Yeah.
week and a bit ago. it's been
How's everything? How was the move and how's it been since then?
it's it, not gonna lie, it's been stressful. It's
Yeah, I
been
can imagine.
probably it's been the hardest camp I've ever had to do in terms of because I've just had so much going on outside of the camp, which normally isn't any like I don't normally have anything else other than like maybe a little job or here, there, or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, it's been a lot. I moved. Obviously, I'd never been to Birmingham before as a whole. Anyway, I'd never even been to the city centre. I'd only ever driven to Renegade, and driven back out again. So it's a big change. Obviously, like I was in Liverpool for 3 years, so I started my like proper forming a life there and
Yeah.
friends and a routine, and So yeah, it was a big change, but like being at Renegade every day, like I can feel and see the changes positively happening to me in terms of, you know, my mindset, how I like live my life every day as an athlete and a fighter, and then obviously the skill side as well. Just being around the people that are at Renegade, like all the coaches, all the amateurs, the pros, the everyone who trains there has just got this elite mindset, and it's refreshing to be on a mat just full of professionals, whether they're actually professional or amateur. The way they behave and conduct themselves is all professional, and it's just a breath of fresh air to be around. To be fair, it's really good. So that's been really, really good. Obviously, I'm still trying to sort out the rest of my life outside of the
Yeah.
gym, but that's pretty much been on hold while this camp's been going on. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, training on the mats at Renegade must give you a ton of confidence. 'Cause obviously, like you said, you're training with really top athletes. How do you think that might be beneficial for your growth going forward? Do you think that will just kind of push you to the next level yourself?
yeah, I do. I think in both aspects, like physically and mentally as well, because I think there is a certain work ethic there, and like a culture that you just naturally adopt when you go there. So like, the minute I walked into Renegade, like I felt welcome, I felt part of the team. Everyone was just willing to get stuck in and help each other. It's a very like open for learning environment as well. There's you can just grab whoever and be like, oh, can you go over this with me? Or I'm not quite sure on this. And it's just such a good environment to grow and to learn. And I think that's going to help me level up massively. And also the fact that there's a lot of women in this country that don't wrestle. It's very lacking. Like obviously you go to America and it's more apparent over there, but like in the UK, I'm yet to see a female that in this sport, in just MMA, that is like, wrestling everyone really, really competently. And I think I've never wrestled so much until I came to Renegade. So I am really trying to home in on that. Like the first time I went to the freestyle wrestling class at Renegade, I was like dead nervous because I was the only
Yeah.
female on the mat, and I was like, oh, I don't even really know what I'm doing. And it was, but again, they made me feel welcome, and like the tech, the skill, the knowledge, everything that they've got there is brilliant, and like the amount of classes and sessions available as well. So that's what I want to do. I want to level up in all these areas that are going to propel me forward, because obviously there's going to come a time where a lot of my fights are going to be international, and I am going to have to face some of these Americans, Brazilians, who are going to have that in their weaponry. So I want to make sure that I'm leveling up like to match them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I saw something you put on I think it was on your Instagram the other day. You were late to training and you got put on mat cleaning duty.
I did.
That kind of leans into what you're saying about the whole kind of the mentality there and everything. Is that something you've had to get used to, or is that something you've kind of been surrounded by your entire life?
No, to be fair, like I actually like that.
Mm.
I like the first ever gym I went to, the first generation. It's not really around anymore. Back down in Eastbourne, there was kind of that culture there where, there was a lot more sort of like traditional martial arts discipline and tradition there, and I like that. I think it's good, and I think some places now, like, you don't quite get that level of tradition, and then that can often lead to like a bit of a lack of respect, and then it doesn't really like work very well. Whereas with Renegade, like, you do have that, like, if you're late, you're late, that's on you. You've got to clean the mats, like everyone has to do it. So it is a good thing, I think, and it teaches you to be humble and to be not late to
Yeah,
sessions.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I like that. I like that side of it. I think it's good. It keeps it professional, keeps it respectful, and it keeps that traditional discipline there, which is, predominantly what a lot of martial arts is about. So
Yeah, definitely. Okay, talk to me a bit about your upcoming fight against Megan Morris and how that came about. Because obviously, I know you've said that you've previously trained together. So I'm just interested on how that fight came around.
so I there was talks of it potentially happening in the back end of last year, but it never came into play because of, I think Megan had moved gyms or something was going on anyway, so it wasn't the right time. But so the new year start of this year, I just basically got a call saying, do you want to take this fight at a catch weight? And I was like, yeah, because me and Megan usually fight at different weights, but obviously she's struggling to get a fight in this country, so am I. And if she's happy to meet in the middle, which she is, that was what it was agreed on. So we're doing a 59 kilo catch weight, and we are, I would say, we are training partners, previous training partners, but we were never sort of part of the same team or the same gym. We did the IMAFs together. We were both in the bantamweight division on Team England, the IMAFs. So 2019, we did the Euros and the Worlds together. And that's kind of like when we started like building a bit of a rapport. And then from that, sort of from after like lockdowns, after 2020 that and onwards, she was in Manchester, I was in Liverpool. So every time we had a fight booked or she had a fight booked, we'd just help each other prepare for it. So we sparred a fair few times. We did have really, really good spars actually. So I know that this fight's going to be it's going to be a war. It's going to be a scrap. So I'm excited for it. Obviously there's no bad vibes, no hard feelings. I've got a lot of time and respect for Megan. I know she dedicates her life to the sport, as do I. So yeah, it's gonna be fireworks. I'm excited for it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said before that it's strictly business, and that's kind of what you're saying here. There's no bad blood. It's all respect. Do you think having trained together before, you kind of know what each of us going to bring, or do you think that since then you've both kind of developed your game in a way that it's going to be a different fight to what you both might expect?
I think there's potential for it to be different to what we might expect, especially I know personally I've gone away and developed a lot more and worked on a lot of things since we last trained together. I'm presuming she's doing the same because I've seen, I think she's come away from Predators and she's more, she's done some camps at higher level in Scotland, which is obviously a very good gym. And the gym she's at now is very good. She's been doing training with like Dakota and that. So I know she's going to be leveling up. I know she's going to be training hard, which is, it's always what I want. I always want my opponent to bring the best version of themselves because that brings the best version of me out as well. So yeah, there might be like little things that she thinks, oh, I remember this from when we sparred, or she does this or she does that, but you can't really home in on them things too much because obviously, like you say, you develop and you grow, so those things might not even happen. But I do know I know Megan's got heart, and I certainly have heart, so I know if it does go the distance, then it'll be a 3-round war. So yeah, that's all my thoughts on it really. Like, yeah, no bad blood. Like it's going to be good.
Yeah. Obviously you touched on it as well before that you have fought all around the world. How excited are you to get a fight back in the UK and fight in front of a UK crowd as much as you enjoy fighting around the world? It must be nice to finally get a fight back in England.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, to be honest, my pro debut was tough because I didn't have my people there. So, and I am used to having a crowd there, and whether they're my team or my friends or whether they're just people I know on the circuit and like just general local supporters and stuff, like it does make a big difference. Obviously once you're in there, like you zone in and you don't really hear I don't hear anyone anyway, but the lead up to it before, just knowing that you've got like supporters there and you can feel the environment, the atmosphere, it is different. So I am looking forward to that. Definitely having my people there and feeling that support and that atmosphere would be nice.
Yeah. The UK MMA scene is it's in the best place it's ever been, and I mean I've just spoken to Matty Byfield. Obviously he's trained at Renegade as well. He said that he thinks it's just warming up. How kind of like excited are you and kind of like humble to be part of this growth and being one of these women from the generation where mixed martial arts is growing massively in this country, and especially women's mixed martial arts? How kind of exciting is it for you to be a part of that while it's at its kind of peak of growth?
Yeah, do you know what? It's interesting because I was literally talking to my coach this morning about this, like for on the women's side of things. Like it is exciting to be a part of, and it's exciting to see like all the opportunities that are happening now. As I don't want to sound like a feminist, but like
No, of course, so you
it
feel.
is happening so much more for women now. Like there are so many more opportunities for us, which is amazing because I think even just having more women to train with, because there are more women involved in it now. you know, like the other day I turned up to Spa and there was 2 or 3 women for me to actually train with, and I was like, wow, this never happens. Like,
Yeah.
you know, no, I'm used to having to travel. That's the main reason I got connected with Renegade in the first place, was traveling there to get sparring in. So like, it's nice to be a part of it, and to, like you say, whilst it's sort of peaking and coming right up, it's nice to be a part of it then, rather than like just starting out whilst it's getting there. Because I remember when I mean, I didn't even start that long ago compared to a lot of
Mm.
people. I started like what, 6, 7 years ago, maybe 7 years ago now, and like even then it was like unheard of for women to do. Like I'd say like, oh, I'm doing this, and people are like, you're doing what? Like
Mm.
what? Oh, you won't get anywhere with that. Like being a woman and all this. And you did get those comments, you did get those remarks. And now when you talk to people about doing it, it's a totally different response. You know, people are like, oh, that's amazing, and you know, they do mention people like Leah McCourt and Molly McCann and Dakota and things like that. And you know, it does, like, you can see that things like those girls are doing, they're like the generation above us, that they're smashing it. And you've got our sort of generation, like the early pros coming through, and then you've got the higher end of the amateurs. Like there's so many female amateurs in this country that are really, really good. Like some of them have just been to the worlds for the IMAFs and smashed it. And you can see like it's just constantly growing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even seeing Laura Sanko at the UFC kind of becoming one of their main commentators now, it's really great to see that it's starting to get taken seriously, women in this sport, and that they're given those opportunities to be able to showcase their skills.
Yeah,
And that's a great, obviously great for you to be in this position, to be able to be in this position while it's at its peak. Like I said, it is great to see the growth.
yeah, no, it is.
Yeah. What can fans expect to see from you then, if they've not seen you fight before? What can they expect to see during your fight with Megan Morris?
Like I said before, it's going to be a war. It's going to be exciting. I think I don't want to reveal too much of my game plan, but from what I've learned from my previous fight, and you know, the things I've been going over this camp, I'm excited to bring a new version of myself. I think what's come with like changing cities, changing gyms, changing teams, and changing like everything is like it's been hard, but it's been good because it's really shown me like what I am capable of. And I think it's given me this new sort of confidence in myself, like self-belief more so than anything else that I have lacked in the past. And I think that's going to play a big factor in this fight, that I'm coming for that win. Basically, I lost my pro debut, I lost my last amateur fight. Like I am hungry for this win now, and it one way or another it's going to happen. So it's going to be an exciting fight, because I'm not going to cruise along and allow myself to not get that win again. So yeah, if anyone's not seen me fight before, they'll definitely be entertained.
Definitely.
Obviously Megan's an exciting fighter as well, so she's also coming off a loss. So it is, you know, it's going to be a good clash.
Yeah, definitely. Well, best of luck out there against her. Obviously, I don't want to take too much of your time because I know you're extremely busy, especially with the move. So yeah, I really appreciate your time today, and thank you for coming on to talk to me.
That's all right, thanks for having me.
No worries. I'll hopefully get you on as well soon after the fight. We can speak about the victory that you'll get in there against her.